Maniacs, welcome back to the channel. Your local bedhead here. We are going to be diving back into some Side-Eye Guy, and I'm actually extremely excited for this one because this is a television series that I used to actually watch quite a bit of, but there was always something about the show that just felt off to me. Acted out. It felt like it just didn't feel legitimate. It felt, especially with the psychic medium they had on the show. She was just so over the top. Like, she was a character. Everything she said was just dramatic as all hell. I all the time, like, was so dramatic. And I remember watching this show, and though very kind of pretty entertaining, it was still like something that I just never pretty much believed in, like, at all. Like, where there's ghost adventures and ghost hunters and whatnot, in which basically the show is like a detective and a psychic medium going around and trying to figure out hauntings. And so the detective would do his research on the location and the history and the death of people and things, maybe try to figure out who this person, the owner of the house, is seeing in her nightmares or around the house, and he would do his research on that, you know, if they're terrorizing the family or not. And then the psychic medium would go walk around the building, and then at the end of it would have an artist draw out what she's describing, and then that picture apparently would be the spirit of whoever they're seeing. And that's basically the entirety of the show for the most part, at least for me. I haven't watched every season. I just have watched quite a few episodes. And some, you know, it had a creepy element to it for sure. If you're in the dark and you're watching that show, it could be a little bit creepy, but I never really believed it. I never really thought that this was a legitimate, you know, thing going on. So, yeah, I want to hear what Side-Eye got to say. This is actually exciting because this is again a show I have not talked about in so effing long, and almost forgot it even existed. I do know it did get canceled not long ago. Like, it just got let go. So here we go with the Side-Eye Guy's video on the Dead Files. Okay.
Hey, segues.
I've had so many people ask me now to do a video on the Dead Files. This will be my first time watching this show. I'm not even sure how to get the travel
No shit, your first time watching it. Oh man, what a surprise you're going to be in for. What a surprise.
channel here in Australia. And why does the Travel Channel do so much of this paranormal stuff? Never mind. The two stars of the Dead Files are Amy Allen, a psychic...
Even on the poster, she's just so over the top dramatic.
Medium.
A lot of dead people are here. I see dead people. This is not good. I speak to dead people. He is very pissed off. And they speak to me.
Oh, you crazy.
And for those who are regulars to my channel, probably already know my thoughts on psychic mediums.
It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Global bullshit. I call bullshit.
And Amy's co-star is Steve Buscemi, a former Marine and New York City detective who came out of retirement to ghost hunt.
I'm Steve Buscemi. I'm a retired New York City homicide detective.
He got shot at his house?
And I know every person, every house at sea. Aren't you terrified being here? It's my job to reveal.
And for those of you who think the whole detective coming out of retirement for one last assignment is a bit cliche, it's because it really is a huge cliche. But Steve would have come out of retirement back in 2011 when the Dead Files first aired. So how early did this guy retire from the force? So I guess we got to ask, did Steve take very early retirement from the force, or is there perhaps another reason why he left? I don't know, I don't want to start speculating, but it is a bit weird. I don't know, is that normal for detectives? Do detectives take really early retirement? Anyway, Amy and Steve go into these haunted houses and, well, do exactly what every other ghost hunting show does. But as this video goes on, I'm going to explain just why I think this show is actually pretty harmful. Before we go any further, I need to take this moment to thank
I guess that would be the main thing. You know, it's one thing, like, if you go around being over the top, over dramatic, being fake, a little bit silly. It's one thing to do something like that, but to actually, like, involve real people and to really, like, exploit certain people and to use that to your advantage, it's a fucked up thing. And I think I can see where he's getting at for sure already. Well, I mean, the title is, you know, the Dead Files exploit the vulnerable for ratings, and unfortunately, I feel like there has been a lot of that going on. People will definitely take advantage of that for the sake of the popularity, the using it for their stories so they can, you know, yeah, be the heroes of it, right?
all of my beautiful members and patrons for your ongoing support. You guys are amazing, and you really do help keep the lights on around here. The Dead Files convincingly won the vote, which I'm kinda worried about, because I'm getting the feeling that I'm gonna be in for a rough video here.
Yeah.
If you want to get involved in the next vote and punish Side-Eye Guy for some reason, on who I react and or debunk next, please consider becoming a member or a patron. The link is in the description.
Away we go!
Speaking of which, I will be adding your guys' names, the new people who have remained members for over a month now. You guys' names will be absolutely added into the end credits. I'm going to be probably redoing the end credits, probably this Halloween, because I want to just start fresh again. And yeah, so be prepared, because I'm going to be adding your names here soon. I got so much going on in my life to where it's kind of been hard and difficult to kind of like sit down and just do stuff. Got to have the motivation to get stuff done, and lately with all this work, I just literally got done working a 16-hour shift at work, and I came back to do more stuff, and then I literally was going to film last night, and then I slept. The second I got on my bed, I face first I was out. I was out, and I woke up about an hour ago, so I've been out for so long. So needed, though.
Was depending on Amy and me to find some answers and hopefully save her from quitting her job.
I'm not just saying this, I love that New Yorker accent.
We're hearing things, we're seeing things, objects are moving, and it really scares me. I called Amy and Steve, hoping that they could give us some answers.
You might be wondering where Amy is. Well, the Dead Files have Steve and Amy explore the haunted location separately, for some reason. Steve goes in and gathers research like a detective would, and Amy just kinda stumbles around the place talking out of her ass, pretending that she's getting her information from the spirits. And of course, not a Dead Files researcher. So for most of this show, Amy and Steve do not interact with each other, so there is no chemistry or back and forths between them. And for me, this makes the show a bit stale. The two do come together and talk about their experiences and findings of the location at the end of each episode, while scaring the living piss out of anyone that was already on edge working at these alleged haunted locations. But we'll get into all of that.
Yeah, I remember one of the episodes, like, this person was already terrified, and they ended the episode basically saying, here's what I would do. I would get a priest or something. You need to get this house blessed right now. And they would be just sitting there, oh my God. And they'd be just sitting there. Yeah, it's serious. It got pretty over the top sometimes, and they really did exploit a lot of people's fear. And you know, the thing about going out and ghost hunting and whatnot, and sometimes you do catch some things. Sometimes you really do, and you're like, oh wow, that's interesting. Houses are old, and there are people who fail to kind of understand that houses can make noises. Houses can really add into somebody's paranoia. There are people in this world who are genuinely afraid of the unknown and afraid of the dark and afraid of things that when they experience like old houses that make creaks and bumps in the night, and it's not even a ghost, but they will use that their minds will automatically just go with it and maybe think certain things, right? Or like their dog maybe hears a car door shut and they don't hear it, and they start barking and they're like, oh my God, my dog's going off for no reason. And they'll add into that paranoia. But to a lot of people, they take advantage of that. I wonder why your dog was barking. Oh man, you ever had any dark history with this place? And they'll start giving all of this stuff in there and making someone even more scared. But in reality, that's why there's a reason why I did appreciate and loved ghost hunters back in the day. And that was because a lot of the time when they'd go into some of these houses, they would actually prove to a lot of people that it's just the house. The pipes in the walls, they would do that stuff. And that's what I wish ghost hunting would be more of. You know, I know people are tired of people mentioning ghost hunters and Jason Hawes and everything like that. But there was a side of it that was like, yeah, I really wish people would actually do more of that kind of stuff. Like actually prove that it's just the house. Yeah.
Later in the video.
Because I can't keep bringing people here on a tour if this is what's going to happen.
Hold on. I think my video just froze a little bit. I don't want that to be
in the video.
Because I can't keep bringing people here on a tour if this is what's going to happen.
Are you concerned for your safety?
Yeah, because I don't know who or what it may be, what it wants, and it just makes you feel like what it wants isn't going to be good.
I'm convinced Steve is actually Alfred Mullaney researching his next role for an upcoming movie.
Oh, dude. If they ever make a Dead Files movie, perfect casting.
The moment I got into town, hundreds of dead people began talking to me.
Bullshit.
I immediately knew this would be a really intense walk. just see a lot of dead bodies all over the place. It's really bad.
I'm gonna be in for a long video, aren't I? Let's pretend for a second that this isn't all verbal diarrhea of the most critical level. All Amy says is that there are lots of dead bodies scattered around. Why is that even bad? She doesn't explain any more than this. If her psychic medium nonsense was legit, then surely she'd be used to seeing dead bodies all over the place. Since a lot of people who have walked the earth have, of course, died. So you'd imagine ghosts would be absolutely everywhere. Amy doesn't say that these dead bodies are interacting with her or intend to do her harm. She doesn't say anything other than she just sees them. This is clearly all just bullshit drummed up for dramatic effect. And it's just clear as day bollocks. Anyway,
Yeah.
the show now does...
Yeah, I guess, because even Lorraine Warren, I remember, and look, I'm not really... I used to have a profound respect for the Warrens. I really did. As a matter of fact, when the first Conjuring film came out, I was one of those people who was like, damn, they are awesome. And then the more we found out, the more that came out about them, the more that people started showing, throwing into the light of things, I started to really lose a lot of interest. And my fandom started dying to the point where it pretty much has died. I'm not really all excited about the Warrens anymore. Having said that, there was a moment in the Amityville horror situation where I guess she was in the house and she said that there were bodies lined up in like rows and covered in bed sheets and things like that. And that's when she said the famous quote, "This is the closest to hell I ever want to get," to Ed. And they never really explain, again, why this is a bad thing. Because, again, dying is a part of life. Everybody dies, whether it's a murder, natural causes. Everybody's going to turn up to be a dead body at some point. It's very dark and disturbing when I say it like that, but it's true. It's at the end of the day, it's true. You know, I'm sorry for anybody who's watching who is scared of that. I apologize, but it's just the truth of life, and that's not a bad thing. That's not like, now if the bodies were like covered in blood and like they're scattered like murder scene and stuff, and then like the bodies look at you with red eyes or something like that, then I'd be like, oh, like that's not a really pleasant sight. That's when I would say, oh, okay, well, that's bad. But if they're just laying there, I don't think that's necessarily like evil, demonic. It's just, so I get what he's saying. I completely agree with that, actually. That does make a lot of sense. And again, if this was a psychic medium, you would think that there would be some ounce of something there that would have told her why this was really bad. And it just wasn't. Like, if she had said something along the lines of that these were all the bodies of this person, the person that murdered them, this is their kill count, and that's why all the bodies are around here, then it's like, oh, okay, now we're getting somewhere. But she never says anything. Yeah.
Starts back to Steve.
Gertie.
And no, I'm not
Step
making
with
another
the hurdy
Steve from the
girl.
House of the Dead joke. I've already done that in my recent Ghost Adventures video. Except that I just mentioned it now when I didn't want to bring it up again. But I know if I don't mention it, I'll get people in the comments saying,
"Hey dude, the guy's called Steve and you didn't make a Steve House of the Dead joke. You suck, side-eye guy."
so even though I didn't want to do it, I've dedicated a shitload of time right now talking about Steve from the House of the Dead yet again, right now. Honest to God, I think I am going as crazy as Steve.
So, Debbie, what's going on in here?
Well, a lot of people have reported seeing the spirit of a little girl up here.
Okay, surely this is Alfred Mullaney auditioning for the role of Al Capone.
Amy and I have dealt with a lot of clients who've tried to contact the dead.
I just kind of said, if you're here, can you give us some kind of sign?
It never turns out so good.
I've tried to contact the dead. Every paranormal YouTuber has tried to contact the dead. Every teenager who goes through that cringy, morbid curiosity phase tries to contact the dead. It's not edgy, it's not interesting, it's nothing. Because nothing ever happens.
This toy box.
And that's why paranoia is such a big thing. Because in reality, now, have I ever actually lived in a haunted house? Personally, I believe in the afterlife. I believe in that stuff. That's one of the first things you probably should know about me. Do I believe that there's a lot of things around here that are smelling a bit fishy and not as believable as I wish? Of course. I'm taking full acknowledgement of that. I really am. I think there's absolutely people who do take advantage of people's beliefs and people's fear of the unknown. And to me, that's what's more fascinating than anything is the unknown itself. It's not really whether it's real or not. It's just, is it real? That's what I want to know. Is it real? That's kind of what I hope that anybody who goes out there and does paranormal investigations is behind in their mindset. That's what they have as a drive. Is it real? A lot of people who are out there actually have a genuine passion for finding that out instead of figuring out how can we lure more people in. That's the scary part. And unfortunately, there's more people, I think, out there that are just like, how can we lure more people in, suckers, probably in their minds, into our little game. So every time we make a video, they all start thinking that we're finding shit. And that's sad to me. I know people watch it for entertainment, but the paranormal actually used to be about trying to figure out if it's even in existence, if it's actually a possibility. And unfortunately, there's just so many people faking now, and I'm sorry I'm going to use that word, faking 100%. Being over dramatic, being over the top. Hell, people who might not even be aware they're faking or being aware that they are making their videos to be more over dramatic than they think, right? There might be people out there who might be doing that. And I'll tell you right now that does happen. With paranoia, with fear, it does happen. Videos turn out to be a little bit more intense than they need to be. And that's okay. I'm not bashing those people. It's a scary concept. Again, I was in the Blair House. And I was genuinely my first time going into a haunted house that was well known in the area. And I knew that in the back of my mind. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons why we didn't go over the history of the location, well, it's been done probably a gajillion times already in every other person's videos. And even then, some people still get the history wrong. So we decided, you know what, let's just go ahead and go into this with a clean slate. That's how we did it. We didn't look up any history of the location. We just decided, hey, we knew a couple things. Of course we did. I've seen Blair House videos. I knew a couple things, but I decided it's best if we just go into this with a clean slate, try to go at it from a different perspective and see if we can do anything different. And that's kind of what we did. It may not add much, but to us, we just wanted to make sure our paranoia levels were at an all-time low as much as we possibly could. Yeah, and I think it worked for the most part because when I went in there and when Joe went in there, the other person had a fear of the dark. It's completely cool. But when we went in there, I still got to admit, even knowing I was not terrified, I did a pretty okay job being in there with only a night vision camera. I can't lie to you when I say that. Was I still a little bit on edge? Yeah, a little bit. I'm not going to lie about it. I was a little on edge, but I wasn't terrified. I wasn't like every creak and noise I heard, I was ready to turn around and start running down the stairs. No, not even close. But I was a little on edge because you just never know. And I do believe in this stuff, so I was kind of like, could there be a possibility we might actually catch something? It was an experience, and that's kind of what I love about all of this stuff is that, yeah, some places people might go into these locations and really make it out to be something it's really not. And after being at the location myself, I can for sure tell you, person to person, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of it on a lot of these channels. I'm not trying to take away from their channels, but at the same time, I'm just letting you guys know, person to person, as somebody who's been to one of these locations and have seen many paranormal investigations at this said location, a lot of people be adding a lot of things that really are unnecessary. Sorry,
the
going
lid,
off on talks.
all of a sudden comes falling down. This blanket that's right here starts going up and over this guy's shoulder, all on its own. He's sitting right in front of the toy box.
All we believe is that you just spewed a bunch of nonsense.
There's a little girl who runs around the place.
Death is a difficult concept for living kids to understand. For dead kids, it can be like a playground, where they have abilities they didn't have in life.
Yeah, she definitely would have watched too much Casper the Friendly Ghost as a kid.
She likes to jump on things. She likes to hide in things. She's in the wardrobe and you hear a little
Is that an ad sound effect?
People would get nervous from this.
I'd be nervous around you too. Since this episode aired that I'm watching now, Amy has in fact left the Dead Files. She was on the show for over 200 episodes, but decided to leave halfway through filming season 15.
On April 21st, 2023, the Travel Channel announced the return of the Dead Files, but the network also revealed that a longtime medium, Amy Allen, would be leaving midway through the 15th season for a personal break. This season marks a significant change as it bids a bittersweet farewell to Amy Allen, a dedicated partner to Steve DeShavi. For over 200 episodes, the network said in a press release, as a gifted psychic medium, Allen has a fundamental part of the team since the show's inception in 2011.
I'm not sure why this happened. I don't know if there's any drama attached to this story. And honestly, I don't really give a shit.
Out of all the witnesses I've interviewed, Valerie was clearly the most shaken up by what she'd seen.
Hello, Peter.
What happened on the tour?
I hear what sounded like footsteps. And I just happened to glance over, and I saw this tall shadow man. And he stopped, turned around, and looked at me with these evil-looking, glowing eyes.
What she's saying and how she's saying it does not feel legitimate at all. She's smiling when she says it. She's like holding back her laughter. I don't know, the way that that person was telling the story, it was almost like she was thinking about it on the top of her mind as it was going. He had these big, dark, glowing, he had bright, shining red eyes, and and then when he turned around, he also started trying to poke me with a pitchfork. I don't know, just something about, and then, oh, maybe this would be good, Tell me how you think about this. When his cape flew, beams of red electricity shot out. I don't know.
She doesn't seem that shaken up.
No.
She seems to be retelling the story in a very calm manner.
A lot of the activity here was taking place outside. And as soon as I left the building, I was confronted by a huge figure.
Ah, there's that big old guy. Pretty tall dude. Okay.
Big guy's not so nice.
He works really hard at being seen.
Well, he doesn't work that bloody hard. Nobody else can see him, and there's no footage of him being seen.
I had nightmares. I want to face my fears, but at the same time, I'm scared to death of what may happen next, what he might do next.
Okay, to be fair, she does actually seem to be shaken up after all. Maybe the producers of the show should get her some psychological help so she can realise that there's nothing to actually be fearful of.
Nah.
But I highly doubt any level of duty of care is thought of while filming the Dead Files.
I might have read that wrong. I don't know. There's something about it that just doesn't feel like it's legit. In all seriousness, I don't know. I just feel like, again, a lot of these shows, I wouldn't doubt if a lot of people just rang up the Dead Files hoping to be on television and just wanted to make up a story just so they could have a shot at being on television. I have no doubt in my mind a lot of people did this. And I'm not saying, and I don't want to come off like I'm calling this person a liar or just acting it out. To me, it feels like it could be. Just by the way, like how you said, she doesn't seem all shooken up about something like that. But, I mean, I've seen legitimate, actual video footage of these people giving interviews to supposedly people who are being traumatized by spirits. And they're on the brink of tears. They're actually crying and actually putting their head in the people's shoulders and stuff and actually like losing it a little bit. And they have to actually walk off camera because they just can't stop crying. Those are the people I think are genuinely terrified. But with me, and maybe this is not, everybody's different on how they handle fear. So this could be a possibility too. She's just smiling, looking at him, telling the story as if it's not a big deal. It's just something like, I'm just a little bit worried about what he might do. I don't know, it just feels off. It's like, okay, if you saw this tall being with red glowing eyes and he just disappears out of nowhere and you're genuinely afraid about what he could do, I just feel like there'd be more of an actual ounce of nervousness. But I don't feel like she's that nervous. I just feel like this is her big break on TV. But that's just me. Maybe I'm reading that wrong. Maybe this is just her way of coping with it, right? It could be.
There's a little girl. She's a bad girl. Like, she likes to scare people.
I could tell this little girl just needed attention.
The ghost ain't the only one in need for attention.
Unfortunately, the way she went about it was freaking people out.
You don't see any level of irony in this at all, Amy?
I mean, she is just playing, but she's out of control, you know.
I know you are, but what am I?
Lots of yelling here. Lot of yelling. And it's between a woman and a man, mostly.
The yelling will be between me and my screen before too long.
What about the man? What is his relationship to her?
They're married. She leaves a lot, traveling. She's a nasty lady. She's a nasty.
Why does she remind me of Selena Spooky Boo a little bit? The way everything has to try to be a little bit funny, you know? Again, maybe that's the way someone copes with like being a little bit nervous.
Nasty lady.
Oh, God. Amy isn't one of those mediums that does impressions of those she's channeling, is she?
Yes.
I've seen more than enough of those.
Hello. It's nice to be here.
Is there anything you want to say? I'm so afraid things will be misinterpreted. This world misinterprets me.
Francis! Francis!
You're Francis, are you? You Francis? Hmm?
Francis.
Francis. What's your surname, Francis?
The last clip was, of course, the late Derek Acora in Most Haunted. And I just love how Yvette Fielding does her absolute best not to burst out laughing right in Derek's face while he's doing this.
It took me about a second to dislike this woman.
I know the feeling.
And it was obvious she felt the same way about me.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
She's destructive. She doesn't have a soul.
Are you channeling my ex?
Well, no wonder she doesn't like you. You're standing there saying she doesn't have a soul. Of course she's not gonna like you.
I spent hours searching through articles on mining-related deaths in the area.
Did you, Steve?
Yeah.
Did you really? Or maybe
Yeah.
a show researcher did it for you.
Yeah.
But regardless, looking
Yeah, because then they actually like put up this stereotypical scene where he goes to the library, he sits down, he has like acting like he's writing shit out. It looks too set up for a real, like, this is actually him in his prime, like, or him in his moment trying to like actually do some serious research. It actually just feels like a giant setup, and it's filmed like it's almost like a movie scene where he's like in front of all these books and just writing shit down. It doesn't feel legit at all.
into the history of these locations is far more interesting and factual than a psychic's feelings. So Steve's team discovered long ago that there was a prostitute that was murdered near the haunted mansion. And guess what? Amy just so happens to collaborate Steve's findings. Pretty much, this is the structure and premise of the whole bloody show. And I'm already finding it really tedious.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Steve and his team do actual research. They talk to historians, they interview those who witnessed the paranormal phenomena, and they go into the archives reading articles about the local area to gather facts on who may have died in or around the haunted locations. Then, in swoops Amy and repeats all of Team Steve's findings via her psychic feelings.
There was a guy around here. He was killing ladies. This one lady he killed was 30s, 40s.
That's convenient.
And this, I would only assume, would impress the easily fooled. This whole show reminds me of a Danny Robbins experiment that he did before he started the amazing Uncanny podcast. He gathered 3 psychic mediums to channel the ghosts in a fake haunted location, and he posted a fake online article about this building. And guess what? Every psychic got their info from the fake article that they could easily find online.
She's given me the name of George.
And I got the name George.
George. It was George. Yeah.
The only trouble... That is genius. That is legitimately a genius stunt to pull. Wow. Make a fake website and put down some fake information, and then of course these people went to that website to do their research, and then they start repeating it. That shows a lot. That shows so effing much. Oh man, I would love if someone did this around here. Like got a bunch of well-known psychic mediums and just pulled this kind of shit. Oh man, that would be insane. Like come up with an idea. Sorry, I'm all for the truth of the matter. I'm all for the truth of the matter. I want there to be I want there to be legitimate evidence. Like, I believe in real 100% paranormal evidence that there is something there. But I'm also aware there's a lot of people who fake and take advantage and lie. And they continuously lie. So...
is that George is part of a made-up story that I planted on the Chocolate Factory website a week ago.
I feel like he was quite angry about something as well.
I think they might be cheating.
But Amy of the Dead Files doesn't even need to make the effort to find articles about the haunted locations that she's going to. She would more than likely have a researcher do all of that hard work for her.
I saw a lot of negative entities on this
Steve
walk,
or the network, yeah.
but out of all of them, there was one I felt was most dangerous. Just as we were getting started, the lady with the icy touch showed herself across the room. She was demanding that I draw her the way she wanted to be seen. I didn't think the way we were sketching her was flattering. but that's exactly what she wanted.
They don't show us the drawing just yet to try and build up suspense, and as you can probably tell, I'm on the edge of my seat. Next up, we finally see Steve and Amy together. This episode of The Dead Files actually has 2 investigations squeezed into a 42-minute show, so they really don't dedicate very much time to each location. The pace of this show is so incredibly fast that you don't even have any time to soak in anything that's been said, which is more than likely an intentional decision. I'm not sure if every episode is structured this way. I mean, I could just watch another episode to find out for myself, but my god, I really don't want to watch any more of this show than I have to. I'm not even going to watch the second investigation in this same episode that I'm watching now. You can call me lazy all you want, but there's only so much of Amy's bullshit that I can watch.
When I sit down for a reveal, it's the very first time I meet the clients. Steve caught me up on the encounters Debbie and Valerie were experiencing.
Steve caught me up. Like Amy wasn't...
Why not have them tell you yourself? Or, you know, why does... It always was weird to me. Why does Steve have to be the one to say it? Why can't we all just have a talk together about what's going on and what happened?
Briefed on all of this before the cameras switched on.
Unfortunately, I had some bad news to deliver.
Oh god, no. You didn't leave the Dead Files to do a spin-off solo show, did ya?
We were just so anxious to hear what they were going to tell us.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
I saw this nasty lady.
She's a nasty lady. She's a nasty lady.
Who was extremely angry, and she was yelling at her husband.
Why do I get the feeling that Steve's notes look like this?
That was one of those moments where Amy just nailed it.
Can I suggest that any cases Steve worked on whilst being a New York City detective be reopened and re-examined? Because this guy's judgment is shit.
I explained how Mackie and his wife Louise had a rough relationship.
And the marriage wasn't really much. I mean, she spent most of her time in Paris.
But it wasn't until I revealed the photos of Mrs. Mackie that Amy really put the pieces together.
It's so dumb.
Well, I see that look on your face. What is it?
She always has a look on her face, though.
Well, actually, I sketched her.
You see now why they left it this late to do the sketch reveal? It's way more dramatic and stupid now.
What the hell am I looking at?
It has the same scowl look.
There was
the same look, which means she probably got that image of this lady from the probably same exact picture they just showed.
intense anger in the eyes in the sketch. That really surprised me.
What?
That was a bit of a shock to see that.
It has the same scowl look.
But that should tell you everything right there. That, oh, it's probably because they used that same exact photo to sketch out her little picture and made it a little bit different just to throw them off a little bit, to act like it wasn't, right?
There was that intense anger in the eyes in the sketch. That really surprised me.
I'm not going to make fun of the ladies who are being taken advantage of. They seem genuine in their interviews on screen. But
Here they do seem a little bit more genuine. Earlier, I was kind of on the fence about that. I think it's the same people. I'm not sure. Maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, they seem a little bit genuine. And like this is a real moment of like we are definitely being like haunted by somebody.
Really does show that when people are scared and on edge, they will believe any old shit if they think they will get help and it validates their own fears and beliefs. How in the hell can the Dead Files ever convince any one of us that Amy's sketch wasn't simply sight drawn from this photograph off camera? This is so transparently...
Like, now that you look at it, it looks like the same photos, but just kind of mixed together. Like, the stare is the same, the the face looks the same. It looks, yeah, like they copied.
Dumb, it actually hurts. I picked this episode out randomly, but I'm sure just about every episode of The Dead Files is as full of shit as what I'm watching right now.
Amy, what else did you see?
A young girl. She is very ill.
Well, yeah, she's dead.
Mackie, she was a widow whose husband had died. They had a young girl, a daughter.
And
And the Oscar goes to...
That reeked of Satori and Cody. Oh, that was exactly how that felt.
So far, Amy and I had a lot of matching information.
Whoa, shocking news.
But then she starts talking about the Shadow Man. And that's when the reveal took a really dark turn.
I'm the Shadow Man!
I saw this really tall, dark mass, and this individual really likes to scare people.
Go get some help, you freaking nutcase!
The hair on the back of my neck stood up. I had this chill.
This is why it's sick, man. It's really sick. That was a moment. Okay, earlier I did say what I said because it did feel like that, but that moment is actually kind of sad because this person, you can tell by the look in her face that, yeah, this really affected her when she mentioned the Shadow Man, and they were looking directly at her when she said this, like they were waiting for her to have a response because they knew this was going to hit her.
At my spine, I just started crying.
All Steve and Amy are doing is making these two women more scared than they already are. Then the Dead Files will fuck off to film their next video at a different location, leaving the two ladies worse off than they were before the Dead Files ever visited them. Morally, at least in my opinion, this is some really shady shit we're seeing right here.
Valerie was shaken up by the Shadow Man, but in my opinion, she was worried about the wrong entity.
Amy is happy to pile more and more things on these women to be scared of.
That's fucked.
As long as it helps with the Dead Files ratings.
Seeing the results of the investigation, the reason you called us in is because you want to know if it's safe or not to be here.
And that's the sick part. That's probably the sickest part about a lot of these people, is that they can look at you in the face, act all serious, put on this charade that they are really trying to help you, and they really don't give a fuck. People always want to know why I have such an issue with liars about the paranormal. This is why. Because they can look at you with that face that, like, they're concerned. But at the end of the day, they're going to be probably on a yacht, drinking some pretty fucking expensive champagne, and just laughing it up. And they don't give a shit about how you're mentally feeling afterwards. They don't give a shit as long as they can end their episode with that fear and that mysterious fear that there's something else out there. They can just end it with that and just completely take advantage of people who are genuinely concerned about their own safety. It's fucked up. I don't care how many people around here say, oh, I watch it for entertainment. It's all good. There are some people who don't watch it for entertainment and don't believe in this stuff for entertainment. They actually believe in it because they are afraid of it. And people like this, like many others, will take complete advantage of that. Look at you in the face, smile, tell you that you're talking to somebody, that you're actually in communication when you're not, but they'll take advantage of it and make you more afraid and then walk away from you. Some people say they stay in contact, but I don't really all necessarily believe that all the time. I just highly doubt it. I have an actual issue with this because there are people who are genuinely, like, so terrified. And I couldn't imagine, like my friend who's afraid of the dark. Imagine if, like, I decided to take complete advantage of her experience at the Belair house and just start saying, oh, I think something might be following you. Oh, well, you know what? That's very interesting. I got a name. It said Cinnamon. And I really started feeding into this my friend's fear. And now she's actually nervous. She actually starts going out and trying to find someone who can help her and things like that. And I just don't give a shit as long as, you know, I'm getting what I want at the end, which is adding more to this, like, Belair house investigation, this story, and then I start putting in videos, vlogs, and stuff, and as long as I can keep it going, yeah, no, it's just, no, it doesn't work. It's sickening.
Only Amy can.
This show went from annoying and silly to being really messed up. Amy is going to determine the mental well-being of these vulnerable women on whether it is safe for them to remain in this property.
The best way to approach this is not to fall for it.
I wish that nobody would fall for Amy's bullshit.
The girl, she should not be here. She needs to go on. The best way for her to do that would be for another medium to come in.
Why another medium? You're here now. Why can't you help her?
To talk to her.
Guess they got the content they needed from this video. No time to actually help these women. Amy and Steve are already off to their
Nope,
next...
because you know what they do? They go in and they tell them what they need to do instead of actually helping, right? That's what they do. Instead of actually being there for a specific reason, trying to actually put their minds at ease, which is what any paranormal investigator should be fucking doing in the first place, they would rather feed into it and then tell you, here's what you probably need to do, instead of, you know, get us to come investigate. You probably need to get a priest to come in. You probably need to get an exorcism. You probably need to... I just paid how much fucking money to have you in my house? And you're telling me I need to pay more money to now get someone else in my house to tell me what I need to do? So you were just a big waste of money and time. It's sickening and it's fucked up.
Victim.
And then the other one is this nasty lady.
Nasty.
She just does not need to be here. The only problem is that would have to be done through exorcism.
See if I can What?
You know, Amy, I never even heard you say that word before.
In my opinion, this bullshit is really crossing a line. And even for those of you who believe in mediums, surely you can see the damage that this can do. There is nobody that...
It's not like I don't believe in mediums. I'm just very skeptical of them because I've seen in so many situations. Am I open to the possibility? Possibly. Yeah. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. But until then, no, I'm skeptical as fuck. I just am. And I'm sure a lot of people are, but I've seen actual situations where it was so harmful and so dangerous about how some of these psychic mediums go around and start making up a bunch of accusations that were never true to begin with. And I've seen that firsthand on a YouTube channel. Can't remember the name, but I remember I went back to comment on this person's video when something actually happened around here and it was becoming a big, story in the news. And she was diving into it. She was getting all crazy, making up these theories that the mom and the girl's boyfriend came together and killed her, sent the dogs to the property. I remember it all. And she was saying, get those dogs on the property because they're going to find a body. And she was using tarot cards and everything. And she was asking the tarot cards if it's true or not. And the cards were saying, yes, it was. And then guess what happened a couple days later? Oh, she's fine. She just ran away from home. Perfectly fine. Yeah. So you get skeptical. After hearing a lot of stories like that, after seeing a lot of psychic mediums, you get skeptical a little bit. Doesn't mean I'm not open to the possibility of it. Of course I am. But if you want to ask me to my face, what do you think of psychic mediums? I'm going to tell you, not a little, I'm very much skeptical of it. My opinion.
We see in this show that gives these ladies any kind of psychological evaluation or care. It's all just woo-woo bullshit telling us crap with no evidence whatsoever and scaring the living shit out of those who really need help. Amy is just stoking this fire rather than making any kind of effort to put it the fuck out. And as far as I'm concerned, this is really irresponsible and potentially damaging.
Amy's gotten on my case for misusing the word exorcism. So when she said that was her recommendation, I knew this was serious.
I'm tired, boss. We now skip to 7 months later for a catch-up.
Amy told us that we needed to bring in a medium, and she said it really needed to be someone who knew what they were doing.
You mean they charge a lot more for doing absolutely nothing?
I went upstairs and I called on...
But what does that say about Amy? Who knows what they'd be doing? Like, aren't you a professional psychic medium? Shouldn't you know what you're doing? I don't know. Maybe there's different types. I think there's different types of psychic mediums, but and maybe this one's more in line with exorcisms, right?
One of the archangels to come and take the little girls and Mrs. Mackey's spirits. Mrs. Mackey is gone at this time. That doesn't mean she can't come back.
Oh, for fuck's sake, piss right off with this bollock.
Which would pretty much mean, if you ever need any more help, give me a call, wink wink. I'll charge you this much next time, kind of. Like, she's gone for now, but that doesn't mean she can't come back. Yeah, it's not a good look. It's not good, no. If I look at you and I'm like, hey, we need an exorcism to get the spirit out of my house, and we have actual full proof of it and everything, with video footage and all that, we need an actual something going on here, and they just say, oh yeah, it's gone for now, but if she ever comes back, I would stop you right there and be like, no. There is no if it ever comes back. You need to tell me that what you did after I gave you $1,500 is going to get rid of whatever I got. But it might. No, I guess then you're moving in, live in the basement. You're going to stay here until you fucking get rid of whatever was going on in my house. Fuck that.
It's good that Debbie has followed.
I'm not going to pay you $70 to $80 a month to have you come by and just continuously redo what you did with the sage. No, you gotta make sure it's gone.
Advice, but I want to be clear. An entity that powerful
Monthly
can
subscription.
survive an exorcism.
Oh, come on!
It's very possible that one day the spirit of Mrs. Mackey could find a way back to the place she calls home.
Well, thank you for wasting everyone's time.
The two ladies
that's
who
probably
run
the biggest. That's like one of the biggest insults at the end of it. It's like, oh, she could always come back though. So your whole plan to help was literally pointless. And not only that, but you added a lot of fear into these people's minds. You did nothing to help at all. You made everything worse. Yeah.
say that since the cleansing of the house, which incidentally is not the same as an exorcism, so it seems in fact there was no exorcism in this house, just this lady walking around the house with some incense sticks. But anyway, the two ladies say that since the house was cleansed that the haunties have in fact stopped, and they feel more comfortable doing their job. But of course, Amy can't just let all's well that ends well. She has to throw in some bullshit just to create more drama, by saying the negative spirits can come back at any point for whatever reason they want. And of course, this will just keep the fear alive in the two ladies who are working there. And
which means if something creaks in that house, they're going to be like, it's back. Because of their paranoia, yeah.
And also, the Dead Files could be thinking of a reason to return back to the Mackey Mansion in future episodes. I hate this show. I really hate it. Steve does bring some comic relief with his tough guy New Yorker character that he's created, but Amy is full of shit, and I mean really full of shit. I mean, to be fair, Steve is full of shit too, because he's obviously in on all this bollocks. But as you watch this show, you can really see how Amy manipulates and strikes more fear into these ladies who work at this location. It's disgusting. As I mentioned earlier, there is a second case in this episode, but I am not covering it. I am done. I am out. Because I need to protect the remaining brain cells I've got left.
To be honest, man, you pretty much aren't missing much. It's literally pretty close to almost every episode of that show is exactly how this one kind of came through. So you're not missing much. You probably did yourself a favor by not continuing. It's pretty bad.
So, if you enjoyed my reaction on the Dead Files, please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm off to tightrope walk between two skyscrapers without any formal training. Ta very much. Cheerio.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, that show, going back and looking at it again, and him making a lot of good points about it, for sure. There was an entertainment value that came out of it, always. I always found her over-the-top attitude to be kind of so stupid, it was kind of silly, and it was entertaining to me. But that doesn't mean what she wasn't doing was not harmful, because it 100% is. With this situation and other people's situations, especially, you know, in today's time in YouTube and whatnot, it can be harmful, and they would exploit things like that all the time. You know, the best way for you to get help about your haunted house is to go public with it. You know that scene from The Conjuring 2 where the news station shows up? No, they didn't want to help these people. They just wanted to exploit the family's fear and have a story. Probably because they had nothing better to do. If you want help, the best thing you can do is make this go viral on our station. So, yeah, it's kind of how I look at it. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Again, I believe in spirits. I believe in the afterlife. I love that kind of stuff. I love the unknown, but there are just some things in this community that are just out of touch for what I think the real paranormal is. To me, the real paranormal is furthering the proof, furthering the evidence of the afterlife, and it's just not about that anymore. How can we scare you now is what it's about. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Hit the like button. Go support the original video by Side Eye Guy. He did an amazing job putting that together, and I absolutely love this guy. He's fantastic. So make sure you give him all the support he needs. Get that guy up to 50,000 as soon as possible. 50,000 subs. He deserves it. I think he's a class act, and he's hilarious. He's absolutely hilarious, and I'll see you all in the next one. Please do take care.
walk on, who can't speak on answers through. You won't be mended.